Hi, Year 2. This is the last chapter of The Girl Who Thought She Was a Dog by Claire Balding. The final chapter is chapter 9 and it's called Champions. Let's read. As they lined up to receive their prizes, Twiglet quietly asked Pickle, the Tibetan Terrier, what had happened at the top of the ramp. My owner thinks it's nerves, but the truth is, I don't like heights, he explained. It doesn't matter though. I'm glad you won. Your owner seems so to really understand you. Thank you, said Fennel in doggish. What's that, dear? Fennel looked up to see Pickle's owner, a pretty lady, about her mum's age, looking curiously down at her. It's just... She held the woman's gaze. Pickle's frightened of heights. That's why he froze on the top of the ramp. The woman raised her eyebrows. Do you really think so? Now that you mention it, I do remember a bad experience a few years ago when he got stuck in a treehouse. Perhaps that would explain it. Fennel nodded. That makes sense. The woman laid a gentle hand on her arm. I'm ever so impressed with your teamwork. You really do understand your dog. Fennel grinned and Twiglet gave a happy bark. I wouldn't be at all surprised if you grew up to be a dog whisperer, the woman chuckled. Fennel looked at her in surprise. A dog whisperer? Yes. That's the name for someone who can really understand dogs and can communicate with them like nobody else. It's a very special thing. Fennel felt her heart swell with pride, but before she could respond, the announcer called her name, and it was time for her and Twiglet to collect their first prize. Come on, said Fennel out loud, leading Twiglet forward. We deserve this. Who was that lady you were talking to earlier? Rosie asked, after the prize ceremony had finished. That was Pickle's owner, replied Fennel. I told her that Pickle is frightened of heights. Oh, of course, I didn't tell her that I can speak doggish. Her family stared at her in surprise. What do you mean, you can speak doggish? Said Uncle James. Oh, Fennel reddened. She said more than she'd meant to. I just mean that I can sometimes understand what dogs are saying. Not all the time, just the obvious things. Her mother and grandmother exchanged a look. Is that so? Said Rosie. I did wonder. There was a time a few weeks after Twiglet had been bitten by that big dog. We all thought that he had recovered, but you told me that his neck still hurt. Yes, agreed Grandma. And I heard you making strange noises to Twiglet when you were training in the garden. I wondered what you were up to. You'll have to be careful, you know, said Rosie. It's a gift that not everyone will understand. I know that, said Fennel, and I know that you've all been worried that I think I'm a dog. I know I'm not. Much more importantly, I know what I am. I'm a dog whisperer. That sounds like a job that was made for you, Rosie said with a smile. They were passing the prize giving for best of breed, and Twiglet gave a bark as he spotted their friend Basil through the crowd. Basil's owner was stepping up to take first prize. Oh, Mum, please can we watch? Fennel pleaded. Of course, darling, Rosie replied, ruffling her hair. Anything for my champions. They watched with delight as Basil advanced into the group judges and cheered loudly when he won that too. Next up was Best in Show, the grand final of Crufts. 22,000 dogs had been judged, and now it was down to the final 7. Fennel and Twiglet stood close together as they watched, breathless with anticipation. The judge went slowly down the line of dogs, the crowd following his every move. Eventually he stopped, stepped back, and pointed at Basil. The crowd went wild. Fennel clapped and whistled, and Twiglet barked beside her. Count Basil was the champion of Crufts, the best of the best. As Basil and his owner were encircled by a scrum of excited friends and family, Fennel and Twiglet heard him give a loud, joyful howl. That's for my new friends, he barked out in Doggish, for Twiglet and Fennel, the best team I've ever seen. The end. And it finishes with this, which says, if you've enjoyed reading about Fennel's special relationship with Twiglet, you'll love the story of suffragette Emmeline Pankhurst and her adventures with a little puppy called Rascal. Turn the page for a sneak preview. We don't have time to do that, but what we do have time for is me to tell you that if you look at our webpage, you can find a link to the virtual library where you can find and read for free hundreds of books. Make sure you click. Okay, thanks for listening. Make sure you click on all the other videos of teachers reading books. Thanks, Year 2.